Hey Tony, good to see you.
Good to see you, Jason. How's everything going on this beautiful, crisp autumn morning here?
It's beautiful. I wanted to ask you in the news recently, we saw this really talented running back that used to play for University of Miami, then was playing the NFL for a long time, Clinton Portis. He was in the news regarding a healthcare fraud scheme. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So, spend some time looking up the case, and it's clearly an example of fraud in our healthcare system in a different capacity. So, a lot of the big unions, obviously, the collective bargaining agreements that all these professional sports teams are under, which we hear so much, and sometimes there's a labor shortage and all that,
Yeah.
includes certain fringe benefits that the regular common man wouldn't have working in a corporate setting. But what they got was a really nice setup so that even after they're retired, they were getting their medical bills paid. And there was a huge fund set up for that. Well, he found a way to wiggle in there and fraudulently put in claims that weren't even there to get the money sent to him. Completely dishonest and illegal. And for his efforts, rather than enjoying his retirement on a football pension, he'll be behind bars.
Right. So you were saying that this is pretty unique to unions. So in terms of like actual businesses and how they get health insurance, what does your company do to help people kind of get health insurance that way?
Mhm. Yeah, so we work directly with businesses, typically 50 to 1,000 employees nationwide. And what we're doing is helping them build a custom benefit plan. So that is something that's unique. It's not a standard offering. It's something that we're able to create and remove the waste in the system, not necessarily fraudulent, but there's a tremendous amount of waste in the healthcare system. And we attack the main cost drivers, which are pharmacy, which can be up to as much as 50% of a company's medical spend per year.
Really?
And a lot of they're not getting the benefits of having that money given back to them. The big insurance carriers are keeping that money. So we attack that driver. And we also attack such things as overpriced claims and surgeries. So we don't just let claims come through and pay them like the big carriers do. There's a lot of waste in those big plans, and we're able to build them a custom plan that works much more to their advantage, typically saving them 20% on their total medical spend. So, I mean, you could take a company with 175 employees, and that very easily, they're spending $2 million in medical spend. So you take 20% of that, that's a significant amount of money. We give them a better plan. We don't do it by eliminating doctors or increasing deductibles. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing is, like you were just saying, that when most people get their medical bills and say, well, it's a 2% increase, 5% increase, 9% increase, but normally they have no idea in terms of what is actually being covered and what portion of that medical bill goes to what, right? Like a company has no idea, but for having a company like you to kind of siphon it out, to figure out what exactly is going in terms of pharmacies, what's actually going in terms of doctors, and they're paying for a lot of stuff that they're not using, which is just kind of a waste.
Absolutely. Transparency is the key, Jason, and we provide full transparency so they can see exactly where their money's going and where that potential waste is, and we help to eliminate that.
Yeah, Tony, I think another big issue too is even when you do get a bill, I mean, I have no idea what it is saying, right? Like in terms of what are you saying? I went in for a normal procedure, or I went in for a normal checkup. And there's just so many things going on, and it's difficult to figure out what the insurance is actually covering, what they aren't. And it can be completely a network, but still it's a cluster and it takes up a lot of time.
Yep, absolutely. That's something that the big healthcare companies have done a great job is confusing people along the way. And that's not the way it was designed to be. So there's a much better way to help the end user, being the employees and all, have a better understanding of their plan and something that works better for them and their family. And that's what we're all about.
Yeah, and I hear the people rave about you and your company in terms of the amount of time it saves not only the company but the employees too, so that the employees and the business can focus on what they're best at, which is running their business, right, and doing what they love to do and not getting bogged down by this. Tony, when's the best time for people to call you? Like, is there a time of year when people's plans are changing? Is there a specific thing that's going on that's a good time to say, you know what? probably a good time to call Tony just to kind of run a couple of things by you.
Mhm. The best time, to be perfectly honest, a lot of companies have a renewal, which is a key point
Right.
in January 1, or potentially even July 1. But the best time to look at that is off season, when they're able to look at it and focus on it and not feel the pressure of all the other things that are going on in their year ends. So, 6 months out from a typical renewal is a great time to give everybody a chance to look at it and make sure it's a type of plan that's going to work best for them and not for the big box insurance companies.
Yeah. Well, Tony, now it goes to the hardest part of the interview. You seem like you have a pretty cool car behind you. Tell us about that. What's going on there?
Well, we spend a lot of time on Zoom these days, Jason, and sometimes the meetings can get a little slow in the background. So it's always good to have something to dream about. So I was told once long ago to have something that you can really set out and dream of owning, and that's something what that car is all about. It's a demon. It's a limited edition Dodge, and fastest production car ever made. So something to kind of think of in the future.
Nice. Now, Tony, what is the coolest car or most memorable car that you've ever owned, or maybe you currently own?
Yep. That would be the car I currently own. It's the little brother to the one behind me there. It's a Dodge Challenger RT, and that has a 6-speed manual transmission. I've had a lot of cars with automatics and manual, a lot of, I guess you could profess muscle cars, but the Dodge is by far the fastest, the best handling. And that, in my opinion, they did the best job with the whole retro thing. The Dodge Challenger and the Mustang are the two cars that really capture that feel from the 70s. I learned to drive on a Oldsmobile 442 convertible when I was 11 years old. So I kind of have an affinity for muscle cars.
Oh, that's awesome. I was looking at some of my dad's old pictures and asking him the cars that he had in the 70s, and they're just beautiful. Some of them are just amazing. But he was telling me about them, that when they used to get a dent in the car, you could just bang it out with a hammer, right? It's just it's a different world than the fiberglass stuff we have now.
Sure.
Yeah, but that's well, the one question I also do have, my final question about that is, does it drive you crazy when the stop and go traffic, though, that you got to keep downshifting and upshifting?
No, I've had so many manual transmissions, and Boston traffic can be a little brutal, though. We all know that. But it's just part of the game, and I actually enjoy that part, using the manual transmission. Yeah.
Well, Tony, thanks for coming on today. It's been great to listen to you.
Oh, I appreciate it, Jason. Thank you.